Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well behind the screens. So today I love to share and talk about how to apply some of the PM product management principles to your life. So I'll get started first with a little bit about my career roadmap and how I got to product. So I was a bioengineer by training, graduated from UC Berkeley, and at the time I was very passionate about the intersection of technology and human well-being, and I really wanted to build products that can actually help improve um, the human health. So actually interesting fact. So I actually jumped into the role of a product manager before I even knew what product management was when I took on my first product, quote unquote, um, during my master's. So it was called Smart Kidney. And at the time, I basically had to bring in an idea from benchtop to bedside. And I was operating at the intersection of technology, medicine, and business, and I just absolutely loved it. And back then, I knew this is exactly what I wanted to do in my career, but I didn't really know anything about product management or the role of a product manager. So that was my idea. Next came my first job. So I started my career at Siemens. I was part of a 2-year global rotation program. And I kind of call this the prototyping phase of my career. So I was very fortunate in this rotation program in that I had the opportunity to prototype different types of career path or careers that I would be interested in. So I started off being business analyst, kind of diving into the business metrics of the company and learning about how the business works within Siemens. And then I realized that actually I'm really passionate about innovation and technology. So I took on a role within the company called Research Collaborations, where I had the opportunity to directly work in the clinics with physicians and essentially help them evaluate the most innovative technology that Siemens had built. And during my last rotation, I wanted to get a little closer to commercialization aspect of the business. So I took on the role of clinical marketing, where essentially I get to work with our customers and really build marketing um, material as well as product launches for some of the technologies within the company. And this is kind of a picture of my day in the life. So I was spent a lot of time in the hospital. I was working very closely with the customers, and I was able to really see the impact of our technology on our day-to-day customers' life. And as part of that prototyping phase, I realized that one of my strength and my passion is really being able to articulate the customer's pain points and needs and translate that into um, solutions that we can offer to our customers. So one thing led to another. I got handed with, the product management role actually got landed on my hands. And that was kind of my first foray into product management. And I called this the MVP because I was offered a product management role. And the manager at the time said, "You are perfect for this role. You love the product. You understand how technology works. And you can articulate customer pain points. So this is the perfect role for you," even though I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I kind of took a plunge and started building my first products. And during that time, I shipped 4 products within a year and built out really, really exciting, innovative image guided software for the medical device industry. Then I took on an iteration. So because I was working in software, I ended up being really curious about the other side of the business. And I was interested in how we build hardware products. So my first iteration within product was actually to take on a more hardware focused product management role. That's when I transitioned to Stryker and became the global product manager. And during that time, I launched my product at the time all across the world, got to work with many different regions and planned product launches. And that was really exciting. At the same time, on the hardware side, the product uh, development cycle was much longer. And I knew that in my heart, I love working on software where it's much faster iterations. And I also was really passionate about improving general people's well-being. And at the time, I was an avid Fitbit user. So I had just a kind of a random conversation with someone who worked at Fitbit at the time I met her through a friend of a friend. And one thing led to another. They happened to be looking for someone with my background, and I landed my Fitbit position as a senior product manager. And that was kind of my second pivot where I transitioned from a B2B business to a B2C business. So today I lead our sleep, female health, and mental well-being initiatives at Fitbit. And these are some of my products. And yeah, it's really exciting to be working in the B2C space where I get to build products and ship them to our 30 million users. And sometimes I just love seeing like Reddit threads or Twitter threads about people talking about my products. So it's been really exciting journey. And lastly, I'm currently actually on my third iteration. So I recently also just co-founded organization called She Aspired, and there's a little YouTube video here. I'm really passionate about the women in product community, and with my co-founder, we decided to build a community that can really help aspiring women transition into product. All right, so diving deep into the presentation today. So why this topic? So I'm super excited to kind of talk about how everyone can apply product principles, not just in your day-to-day job, but in your day-to-day life. Because fundamentally, I believe that your life is a product, and your life is actually the most important product that you'll be managing. And you're the product manager. So of all the skills that I've learned and been trained to become a product manager, those are completely applicable to managing and creating and building the fulfilling life and career that you want. And I think oftentimes, just like how as product managers, we can get caught up in our day-to-day task of managing a product, and we can easily get caught up in our day-to-day to-do lists and tasks. But I think this presentation, hopefully by the end, can help you rethink about how you can apply your product principles and really shape your life in a way that you have envisioned. So let's dive in. So the first one, the first principle is to start with a vision. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Simon Sinek. He wrote the book Start With Why, which I highly recommend. And he said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. So it's really, really important to start with the why. And you want to be asking yourself, what matters most to you in your life? Like, where do you want to go? And what is your purpose and North Star? Speaking from my example, I started out with a passion for technology, and more importantly, how I can build technology to improve people's well-being. And this has always been my North Star and my vision. I knew I wanted to build and create technology that can transform people's lives. And more importantly, I wanted to build technology that can make people's lives healthier and happier. And this vision has guided me throughout the entire course of my career in every role that I have taken. So I really recommend everyone to really start with that vision and think about what is it that you want and what is your purpose, what's important to you. Then the second one is to define your value prop. So very similar to building a product, it's also really important to know what are your strongest assets, what are your unique superpowers, and what makes you stand out. And that, of course, also comes with doing research first. So if you have a goal and an aspiration in your life, you first need to do some research and understand the field. Who are the main players? Who are the experts? And gather all the information so that you can go out and interview some of these prospective, whether it's companies or experts or people, to learn as much as you can and help to synthesize down to your core value prop. So I'll give the example of kind of my career. When I didn't really know what that ideal job was. Like when I was doing my master's, I knew I loved being in an intersection of technology, medicine, and business, but I didn't know of, never heard of the role of product management. I did a lot of research. So in my first job in the rotation program, I literally searched through the entire like interwebs within the company. I looked at I gathered all the information I could about the different departments, different projects. I researched the organization. I reached out to many individuals and just scheduled a one-on-one and asked, like, what do they do? Like, what's their day in the life like? And learned a lot about to really try to understand what do they do in their jobs, and also help me understand what is the right fit for me and what's really going to give me that energy and drive and excitement. And then at the same time, I also sort of found my niche when I was in my rotation program. I knew that I was really good at breaking down a complex problem or technology into simple concepts to explain to the users and the customers. And I was also very good at breaking down problems and pain points of the customers to my internal stakeholders. And those and I just had this voracious like curiosity. I was not afraid to ask questions, and those traits really led me to land my first job as a product manager. So knowing your value prop and defining your value prop is very important in order to help you get to your goal. The third, I would say, is to have a roadmap. So once you have defined your vision, your value prop is, it's important then to start to plan out what does your next 3, 6, or 12 month look like. Sometimes a lot of us have these big aspirations and goals, but it's important to keep in mind that we're essentially creatures of habits, and we're really defined by the things that we do every single day. So it's important to break down your big aspirations into a 3 to 6 to 12 month roadmap so that you can start to define what are those key milestones and start to set SMART goals. But have it really be time bound, specific, measurable, results driven. So yeah, for me, just as an example, I actually, at the beginning of every year, I set my yearly goals, and I would break it down into quarters. And in each quarter, I would have a couple of key milestones, and it helps me to kind of keep on track of my personal goals and what I want to achieve. And this leads to the next principle, which is to set OKRs, or objective key results. So in the book Measure What Matters by John Doerr, he said key results benchmark and monitor how we get to the objective. Effective KRs are specific and time-bound, aggressive yet realistic. Most of all, they're measurable and verifiable. So once you have defined your vision and you have created a roadmap and set milestones, it's really, really important to also define the set of actions and key results that you actually want to hold yourself accountable. So for me, as I mentioned earlier, I break down my year into quarters, and each quarter I would have a set of main objectives and key results for the areas of my life that really matters to me, such as my well-being, relationships, work, and growth. And in this way, it really simplifies the set of priorities and my day-to-day actions, and also helps me make sure that I am working towards what I want to achieve in my life. All right, the next one is to leverage prototyping skills and also infuse design thinking. So many of us, I think for our lives, we don't always get to the end goal right away. And I think um, as we're thinking about treating our life like a product, it's really important to also be able to be flexible and prototype out a couple of ideas, what I call lightweight MVP ideas that you want to pursue. Maybe your goal is to, as an example, open a bakery or start your own business, or travel the world for a year on sabbatical, or be a writer. I think before plunging into that goal and invest all your time and effort, it would actually be wise to first start prototyping. So give yourself 4 weeks or even 8 weeks to test out the idea and figure out if this is something that you really want to do before you invest all of your time and resources. So as an example, when I was trying to figure out what is it that I really love doing, I tried out a couple of different positions. So I was an engineer by training, so I did an internship in engineering and I actually hated it. So I knew that was not for me. I knew I loved business and marketing, and actually, before I started working full time, I volunteered at a startup as a marketing manager, and that was really fun. It gave me a lot of excitement to connect with people. At the same time, I knew that in my heart that I love technology, so I was kind of missing a little bit of that, but I learned through that experience. So the goal is really to prototype and try to cast your net wide and try to get a wide set of experiences so that you can really learn and understand. And I think I also listed here, it's important to have your list of and think through your list of must-haves, should-haves, and nice-to-haves as you're prototyping and designing your experiences and the things that you want to do. And this brings me to the last section, which is to use Scrum. We just went through all the different goal setting, OKRs, prototyping, having a vision. I think lastly is you're iterating and tracking and measuring your progress towards your goals. It's important to take that time to also have a retro. So check in with yourself and regularly and ask yourself, well, what went well with what I did? What didn't go well? And what are some areas that can be improved? And also really important to be kind to yourself and have appreciations for the things that you've done for yourself towards your goals, and also for others who have helped you along the way. So I have what I call my daily stand-up with myself, which is just 10 minutes of mindful moments where I check in, and I would write down my gratitudes, and as well as my intention for the day, what I want to focus on, and also a journal, what didn't go well, what I can improve upon. So yeah, so that's a wrap. So hopefully you remember these 6 product principles and can start applying it to your life. And yeah, and take those skills to actually transform your life and shape it in the way that you want to be. So here are my contacts. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.